So hello everybody. I'm going to present memory and hippocampal functional connectivity during early childhood. Hippocampal functional connectivity during fixation can predict memory retrieval performance in adults. For example, the connectivity from anterior hippocampus to precuneus here is related to memory in adults. As is well known that memory includes multiple cognitive processes such as encoding, consolidation, and retrieval. So the memory performance I just mentioned is measured at retrieval process. Our own group study also indicated that hippocampal functional connectivity during movie, which is made of screensavers, also can predict memory retrieval performance in children. For example, the connectivity from posterior hippocampus to superior frontal gyrus is related to memory performance in both 4-year-old children and 6-year-old children, although the direction of the correlation are different between these two groups. So again, the memory here is also measured at retrieval process. But the study I'm going to present today will focus on encoding process. To be more specific, so I have two research questions here. The first one is to examine resting state functional connectivity between anterior-posterior hippocampus and the brain regions showing activation at encoding task. So the second question is to test whether such connectivity is related to age and memory retrieval measured outside the scanner. To answer these two questions, we recruited 200 participants between the age of 4 and 8 years. We removed the subjects with mean FD greater than 0.4 or had scrubbed scans greater than 20%. Finally, we have 110 subjects, and these subjects provided both usable MI data and the behavior data. So here goes the gender, age, and the motion information for the remaining kids. After the kids come to our data collection center, they went through mock scanner training, real scanner. During real scanner, they watched the Inkscape's movie. Meantime, we collected their MI data. So after getting off the scanner, they received a T-shirt with their brain on it. So all these kids also performed a memory task outside the scanner. This memory task includes encoding and the retrieval parts. And also we calculated the memory retrieval performance during the retrieval process. So we created individual hippocampal masks for each kid. So each kid has their own anterior hippocampal mask and the posterior hippocampal mask. We did this by free-surf and seg abductor. And each mask was visually verified. And we also have these 4 regions, which is derived from an encoding task. So these regions showed significant activation at an encoding task. So we calculated the connectivity from anterior and hippocampal, anterior-posterior hippocampus to the ROI regions. So we tested if age and the memory retrieval performance, as well as their interaction, if these 3 things can predict their connectivities I mentioned before. So now let's see the results. So for the connectivity between occipitofrontal cortex and the hippocampus, we first found that it is related. So it is related to age. So as the connectivity between occipitofrontal cortex and the hippocampus reflects the collaboration or interaction between these 2 regions to store memory. So this finding might indicate that in early childhood, as children get older, the interaction between these 2 regions to also get stronger with the aim to store their memories. In addition, we also find that the connectivity, the difference between anterior and posterior hippocampals in their connectivity to frontal cortex is related to memory performance. The difference between anterior and posterior hippocampal connectivity reflects hippocampal functional differentiation. So this finding might indicate that greater hippocampal functional differentiation is related to better memory performance. We didn't find any other results for the other 3 ROI regions. So with these results, let's summarize. So this study provides support to the hypothesis that the communication between hippocampus and the brain regions participate in encoding is related to age and memory retrieval performance. Second, age and memory performance are 2 independent factors to consider for studying brain behavior relation in early childhood. Third, hippocampal functional differentiation happens in early childhood. Also, this study indicates that in-skips movie helps us acquire more usable data from young children. The success rate is about 55%, which is much better than our previous task-based MI data collection, the success rate of which was only about 22%. For future direction, we will use data from a longitudinal study to test these questions again by controlling for the potential confounds involved in a cross-sectional study. So last but not the least, I want to express my thank you to our colleagues and our funding source, as well as their children and their families. And the next speaker is Mike